Hey, it's Tom. Hey, can I have your ID for this phone? Yeah, you can now call this one for all IFB. Okay. Thank you. How do you say thank you?
Dankjewel. Dankjewel.
Dankjewel?
Could you really hand me my water? The bottle?
You're running low.
Dankjewel.
Can you tell the reporter we will try to reach VRT?
They say they want to check out quarter 2, 5 minutes.
Okay. Sound.
Or just, they can see me already.
They can't hear.
Yeah, I don't know if they can hear me.
That's what they can now.
Kunnen jullie mij nu horen? Ik hoor jullie niet zo, but we're not connected yet, are we?
Nope.
No.
I've been to ask them.
Yeah. So they need to call you. Yes.
Preferably, yes.
Hello.
You get it?
Seriously.
Hey. Hello. Hi. I can hear. You can put it through. You can hear?
Yeah.
Too loud to this off?
Nou, dit is goed. Oké, ik kan jullie horen. Horen jullie mij goed? Hallo Bram, ja, ik hoor jou. Kun je mij horen? Goed zo. Volgens mij zit er wel een kleine vertraging op de lijn. Maar de vorige keer bij de NOS ging het toch prima. Dat was niet te veel vertraging toen we eenmaal begonnen. Ja, ik zeg nu meteen iets terug. Maar ja. Oké. Nou ja, prima. Dan moet ik het dan maar weer doen. En wanneer willen jullie mij, wanneer beginnen jullie? Oh ja. Ja, oké, fijn. En hoe laat ben ik precies aan de beurt? Oké, so there's something we need to know. Oké, dan ga ik hier even gaan. Zelf neergeschoten. Hij is geschoten in zijn hand, in zijn arm. En is nog in het ziekenhuis met veel pijn voor zijn familie, maar ze heeft geen tijd te hebben om het zo opnieuw te doen. En dat is door een internationale actie ruim 800.000 euro gekomen. Yeah, I'm on in 5 minutes. Yes, I'm done just before.
Yeah.
Not yet.
That's what it is.
Maybe not. Maybe let's see.
Is it bearable? Like right now, you're dark, like light.
Yeah, it's fine. Once we get going, I'll be fine. Yeah.
Overlay? Do you need any overlay?
No.
Only good.
About to go live.
Are we good?
Yeah, well, let's just like... Ja, jongens, ik hoor jullie niet. 2 minuten. 2 minuten. Ja. Oké. Ik doe het licht aan bij de camera als we beginnen.
atrás. That's still okay?
Ja.
Yeah.
Ja.
Look down here, I'll see if I can turn it down more.
Okay. Yes.
Are you happy with that framing?
I think so. Yeah. Okay, 1 minute.
1 minute.
Dankjewel. We weten dat het gaat om een vader en zoon, Sajid en Naveed Akram, van 50 en 24 jaar. Zij hebben, de vader is in de jaren 90 naar Australië verhuisd en de zoon is hier geboren. We weten inmiddels ook dat in 2019 de zoon is onderzocht door de Australische veiligheidsdiensten vanwege banden mogelijk met de terreurgroep Islamitische Staat. Hij zou contact hebben met een cel in Sydney van IS, maar toen is geconcludeerd dat hij geen bedreiging vormde. Nou, dat bleek dit weekend dat dat een grote fout was geweest, want de twee mannen hadden gezegd tegen de familie dat ze op vakantie gingen om te vissen. En in plaats daarvan zijn ze naar Bondi gekomen en hebben ze dit enorme bloedbad aangericht. Ja, aan de ene kant zijn ze blij met de enorme steun van de hele Australische gemeenschap. Ik ben hier nu al 2 dagen en het is echt een komen en gaan van mensen die bloemen komen brengen en hun steun betuigen. Maar tegelijkertijd is er ook veel woede, want zij zeggen ja, de afgelopen 2 jaar zijn er verschillende antisemitische aanvallen geweest, incidenten geweest en hebben zij het gevoel gehad dat zoiets als dit zou kunnen gebeuren. Daar hebben ze voor gewaarschuwd. En zij zeggen, ja, daar is eigenlijk niet genoeg aandacht voor geweest door de autoriteiten en door de politie. En bovendien is er ook kritiek op het feit dat er op die dag, op zondag, zo weinig politie aanwezig was en dat het wel 10 minuten duurde voordat de 2 mannen overmeesterd werden. Dus woede en vooral verdriet overheerst hier. Nou, op dit moment zijn de regels relatief streng, maar is het toch mogelijk om verschillende wapens te hebben. De vergunning, als je hem eenmaal hebt, dan raak je hem ook niet zomaar kwijt. Dat wil de premier nu veranderen. Dus hij wil voorstellen om een limiet te stellen aan het aantal wapens dat iemand mag hebben. En bovendien, als iemand een vergunning heeft gekregen, willen ze met enige regelmaat checken of het nog wel verantwoord is dat die persoon de vergunning heeft. Dus er is een spoedberaad geweest van het kabinet. Daar iedereen heeft ingestemd met zo'n wetswijziging. Dus de verwachting is dat het vrij snel kan gebeuren dat die nieuwe wet er ook gaat komen. Dank je. Ja, fijn dat het is gelukt. Ik hoop dat jullie tevreden zijn. Oké. Dankjewel. Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's it. I think so.
No, one of the James Morgan over there.
holy space. And I want to share some words about the victims, because we don't want their names to be forgotten. We don't want them to get swallowed up as part of a collective. We're all in grief, but we're all here together to honor them, to pray for them, to be with each other. We're all in this together. They may have targeted a Jewish Hanukkah event, but they were firing indiscriminately against everyone, every Israeli, every person that was in front of them. It was an attack against all of us. And today, throughout the day, I have to share some words about the individuals, the victims, for those who are suffering, those who are recovering. Today as well, people here in South Africa now, who were at the site of the tragedy on Sunday. The survivors here in our presence right now. So we honour them. To this moment, we still don't have all their names. We only have 9 out of the 15 names of the victims. They haven't all been identified. And with the injured, we also don't have all their names. We're all scrambling, trying to help them. We can find out who they are. But I want to honour the names of the victims that we know, and also those that we don't yet know. Marika Pogany, Igor Weinstein, Rabbi Yaakov Levinson, Peter Niga, Rabbi Eli Schreiner, Dan Elkayam, Alex Clayton, Ruben Morrison, and Matilda, who was only 10 years old. I want to share with you a little bit about one of the victims. His name was Tibor Weinstein. He was a relative of my wife. And his granddaughter was sitting next to him at the bench, and he was brutally murdered in front of her. He was 78 years old. His granddaughter, pregnant, about to give birth any day. And she's now living, going through this trauma. Tibor was known to be the most generous, loving, kind, compassionate, selfless person. In fact, he was just swimming with his great-granddaughter and his granddaughter on Sunday morning. They told us that they had no idea, could even fathom, that this would be the last time that they would be with their grandfather and great-grandfather. He was also known as the lolly man in the synagogue. And the kids that would come over would always get a sweet, a lolly, always trying to exude positivity and sweetness and joy. And this is Tibor, one of the victims. And they all have stories and a legacy. So perhaps today, as we gather here, as people come in and leave, come back again, let's take a few moments to remember the individuals. We're all in grief and collective grief, but here we have families and we have people individually connected in grief. Let's be those candles. Let's take up the reins of where they left off. We light the candles every night. We will not stop lighting those candles, because we are now those candles. We are the beacons of truth and light to continue from where they left off. Perhaps now recite a memorial prayer, followed by the Kaddish, and we'll sing a song. ואחיותינו, כל בני גבעת סידני, החברים שלנו שנהרגו, שהומתו ושנשחטו על קידוש השם ובעבור שאנחנו מתפללים ולהזכרת נשמתם תגלה מנוחתם ולכן בעל כל הרחמים יסתירם וצדק כנפיך לעולמים ויצרור חיים נשמתם אדוני הוא נחלתם ויענו בשלום על משכבם ונאמר אמן. May they rest in peace. Amen. להתקדש שמי רבה ואומה יברך חיבותי וימליך מלכותי חייכון ויומכון וחיי בכל בית ישראל בעדלה ובזמן קריב יבנו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך בעולם ועולה ומעלה יתברך ישתבח יתפאר יתרומם יתנשא יתבדל יתעלה ויתהלל שמי קדושה וריקות לעילה כל מלכתה ושירתה ומשפחתה ונחמתה ולאמירה בעולמה ויבנו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ויעל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ויעל כל Australia.
We're moving.
Hey guys, I'm here. Okay, just be aware that this is on the camera. This will be through the but if you want to rent it, I rent the whole thing. We get it live at No, I would go to them. It's going to be quite powerful. Sorry for later. Very close. Probably a large pack of this wonderful full club here at the Bondi Pavilion to pay their respects. So all wearing their uniform red polo shirts and black pants. It's quite incredible to see such a large number of them here. They just stood at this makeshift memorial site, which is packed with thousands of floral bouquets for a moment's silence, paying their respects. At the moment they're shaking hands with Rabbi Levi Wolf and another member of the Jewish community, hugging members of the Jewish community, offering their support. The crowd, it's been eerily silent here this morning, probably, as it has been yesterday, most of the day. But there was like a new level of touch that came over the crowd as these footballers arrived. As you know, sport is just such a big part of life in Australia. This is AFL, and past that training will very new sport, especially for at the moment. We are also standing by right now for the arrival of the Australian ambassador entered his tenure here, but this marks yet another devastating incident as part of his career, starting of course with the October 7th terror attack in Israel 10 years ago. I also have fresh video of the youngest victim in this tragedy, Matilda, 10 years old. Her family has given me permission to show you her final moments before gunshots rang out into the life of both women. Just heartbreaking. You can see this whether they're enjoying some kind of event with the petting series and kind of the peace, like so much, her face painted. Alongside her 6-year-old sister who witnessed the entire shooting. It's just beyond comprehension how devastating this has been for members of the Jewish community and the families who are impacted. But look, it's been another day that people have rallied around each other and to have people, even some of our sporting legends like the Sydney ones here, I think will provide people with some level of comfort and reassurance that many Australians
a message to you, and he said, but I'm like, I didn't expect you to respond. Hello. I mean, we'd love to talk to anyone, obviously, even you, but I don't want to put you in a position where we could go to the ambassadors coming here first. Let me call you back. This is Tom. This is Ruby. Tanya. Eldridge playing as an assistant. And she was. And Tanya knows Matilda. Yes, the little girl. The whole office. The accountant. The whole office. No one left. Was it just were you going to go? Joey. I know, it's kids were coming out of the bar. I know. I had the whole music just there. And we all went gunshots going on, and we were over here. My friend Charmaine. I know. They were showing excerpts of it on, I don't know where they were, they were showing excerpts of it on like all my program, but it was better down, so which what I want to see. Well, actually it's quite well watched in North America. Here too, but it's on YouTube. If you say that you can we intergenerational things, don't even double think that you just talk to me like I'm a friend, and it's pre-recorded. Okay, it's pre-recorded. I love you. Yeah, let's go somewhere private. Okay. It's like why? Thanks, Evie.
All right.
I don't want to ask. No, I hate asking.
I wonder if we have
Just what it's been the whole time. mate. We've got it done, mate. It's all good. Disregard, guys. Thanks. Sorry, boys. Happy with that?
So the ambo's on here, yes, was the way here. So you can clear up
Hey!
Yeah. Good morning. Sorry that I kept you waiting. Just landed from Israel and there was a delay, and that's why I'm a bit late. I'm not that sure that my vocabulary is rich enough to express how I feel. My heart is torn apart because the Jewish community, the Australians of Jewish faith, the Jewish community is also my community, my people. The people that were brutally murdered here are people that I've known, I've met. And I'm here today, first and foremost, to be here with my friends, my community, with Rabbi Wolf, Rabbi Slovin, Rabbi Feldman, with my dear friend Alon Kasuto, Alex Rifchin, David Osip. They're all brothers. And I'm here with them in this very, very difficult time. Never experienced such a time. For the last 4 years, I was very clear. And I was very clear about the dangers of the rise in anti-Semitism. In my public statements, I mentioned and I shared my concerns about the rise in general and after October the 7th in particular. What one can expect when graffitis are painted all over Australia, on synagogues, buildings, public buildings, calling for the death of Israel, death to the IDF. And then cars are put on fire. I visited every synagogue that was attacked. Arson attack in Melbourne, Hadass Synagogue, the Eastern Melbourne Synagogue, here in Sydney, the synagogue in Newtown, the Southern Sydney Synagogue. And for those of you who don't remember, the Southern Sydney Synagogue was already attacked in 1991 and 1993. I don't know when was the last time that you spoke to the Australian students of Jewish faith. Nearly in every campus there is a so-called dedicated building where the Jewish students can study in a more secure atmosphere. This is insane. And it's also very important to remember that when we're talking about the Jewish community, we're talking first and foremost about Australians, Australian citizens. From here, I would like to convey our heartfelt condolences to the community, to all Australians, and to join the community in their call to the government to take all necessary measures to make sure that the life of every Australian, whether a Jew, a Muslim, or a Christian, will be safe. Thank you. And of course, would like to pay my respect to the 15 member of our beloved community, 10 years old Matilda, Holocaust survivor Alex. He survived the Holocaust, the atrocities of the Nazis, just to be murdered here in this beautiful, place, Bondi Beach. Think about it. Rabbi Eli, that led the Chabad community, as the distinguished rabbis that are behind me are doing on a daily basis. They are the beacons of our community. I'll never be able really to fully understand how they feel today and every day since October the 7th and even before. And I'm not here to speak on their behalf. I'm speaking on my behalf. I'm not representing the Jewish community. I'm representing the state of Israel, the state of the Jewish nation.
Given those
Thank
fears
you.
you had, those deep fears you had, given those warnings you made, for this now to have happened, what is the feeling that leaves you with, given you had these concerns?
Well, I hope that the tomorrow will be better than the yesterday, and I hope that all necessary measures will be taken in order to make sure that the life of the Australians of Jewish faith will be secured.
What are those measures?
Well, it's education. It's first and foremost because it's needed enhanced security measures, even though on a personal basis I believe that it's needed. Although I believe it's needed, it's not the answer. The only community that is in need to go through security in order to exercise their right to worship their God is the Jewish community. I don't know when was the last time that you visit a temple, a church, or a mosque. The doors are open. Only the Australians of Jewish faith are forced to worship their gods behind closed doors, CCTV, guards. It's insane. This is really insane. And by the way, it's not my warning. If you'll go back and you will check what some of your security organization leaders have said about the threats that Australia may encounter, they were very clear.
Is there anything you think the Prime Minister hasn't done that he should have done?
Well, I'm not here to comment on the Prime Minister nor on the government. I'm here to, as I said, to support the community. I'm sure that the community is engaged in a very close exchange with the government officials, whether the federal or the New South Wales government. Premier Means is very receptive, very cooperative. I'm going to see him today, right after the meeting here. He's a dear friend to the community, and I'm sure that all necessary measures will be taken.
Israeli Prime Minister, your Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, was absolutely scathing about Anthony Albanese and his government and his role leading up to this. What is the feeling among Israelis and the Israeli government about what's happened here?
Caroline, yesterday I just came back from Israel, and the terrible news surprised me as they surprise every citizen here in Australia, but also every citizen in Israel. The whole day of Sunday and yesterday, Ilana, my spokesperson, was interviewed by nearly every Israeli media platform. That was the only story in the news. And today when you will meet an Israeli in Israel and you will tell him that you are from Australia, I guess that the questions that you will be asked are not about the beautiful beaches of Bondi, the surfing, the kangaroos. The immediate reaction will be, what the hell is going on here?
Do you think that the Israeli Prime Minister made those comments condemning Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in the hours after the terror attack? They should have waited until a little bit later?
Again, I will repeat what I said before. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm here to embrace. I'm here to hug the community, to hug the Australian citizens that care about life here in Australia and care about the Australians of Jewish faith.
Have you spoken to Benjamin Netanyahu since he made those comments?
I am not going to comment on my personal engagement with my leaders.
We'll take one last question.
What do you have to talk to Christmas about today?
Well, I'm going to hug him because I know that for him it's as painful as it is for every member of our community here. And he was generous enough to call me in times of need and to share his sympathy and his support, and I'm going to do today the same.
Can I take the opportunity to firstly thank the ambassador for his tireless commitment to both Australia and the Jewish community. This has been one of the most challenging years, the last 2 years, for any Israeli ambassador, and certainly in Australia. And this is something that everybody in this country appreciates, and definitely the Jewish community. But I would continue to echo what the ambassador said. There's no place for evil in this country. And anyone who has that in their heart, they should be shown a way out of this place. The way to combat anti-Semitism, we have unfortunately learned, is not to rely on government, is not to rely only on government, because this is actually not a time to criticize anyone. We're here to try to build bridges. Our dead have yet to have been buried, and there are loved ones that are critically fighting for their life in ICU units. This is a time to remind the Australian community that the only way we can eradicate anti-Semitism is not to wait for another press conference from a commissioner, from a premier, from a member of politics, but for mothers and fathers to sit down with their children at a dinner table and to say that words of hate, words of evil, bigotry have no place in our home, have no place on a university campus, have no place on social media. And anyone who hears someone make a comment like that, if you're sitting at a cocktail party, at a bar, if you're sitting on a beach, stand up and face that person and say, this is a country where we have always welcomed minorities. This is a country where we want to celebrate minorities. This is a place where we want you to be able to show the people in this world what you represent. We don't want you to be like me, because if you're going to be like me, who's going to be like you? We want everybody to be able to represent their religion, and together we will have a harmonious, beautiful, great Australia. And that has to change, and it has to change from bottom up. People like this have been calling. It's unfortunately, no one's heeded. People haven't listened. It's time for grassroots, for families, for parents, for children to make a difference, and we're going to change the tide. This is a big wake-up call. This is not an attack only on the Jewish community. This is an attack on every Western-thinking person in this country, anybody who has value for life, anybody who appreciates that every human being has been created in the image of God, and that is for Jew, non-Jew, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist. I don't care what religion you come from. You represent a child of God, and you should be protected, and you should not have to fear your life or walk around thinking, if I'm wearing a kippah or if I'm wearing a Star of David, someone wants to kill me. No one's going to hunt you down on a beach in Australia, because if there are people who want to do that, they don't belong in this country.
I just want to thank Rabbi Wolf for his strong leadership of this community and for his friendship, and of course Ambassador Maimon
for his incredible friendship to our community. Ambassador Maimon is not just a dear friend to the Jewish community, but to all Australians, and we are fortunate to have a leader of his caliber here among us. I also want to say that we woke up yesterday morning and this morning, and parents across our community held their children tighter. And they held their children tighter because we heard of 10-year-old Matilda who lost her life, and she could have been any one of our daughters. I've got a 5-year-old daughter. I've got a 9-year-old son. It could have been any one of us who lost our children or our parents or our loved ones. This is what happens when demonization and words of hatred are allowed to fester for 2 years. This is what happens. Words matter and silence matters. And when good people stay silent and when there is a vacuum of leadership, it inevitably leads to violence. And that is why every single person in our community has been saying, we are devastated, we are heartbroken, and yet we are not surprised. This is the inevitable eventuality when evil is allowed to fester for 2 years. And now, it is a watershed moment for our nation. We need to stand up, we need to stamp out this evil, and instead of distancing ourselves from the one democratic nation that has been able to effectively deal with terrorism and extremism, the State of Israel, Australia should be bringing Israel closer and learning from Israel how to deal with the threat of fundamentalism, of extremism, and of hatred. That is what should happen right now. Australia and Israel should stand side by side, realizing that the two vile monsters who stood on that bridge over there and plucked off Jews for 10 minutes straight with their shotguns are the same type of monsters as the 3,000 monsters and terrorists who invaded the south of Israel on October 7th. And let's not mince words. This is the worst terrorist attack on Jews anywhere in the world since October 7th, 2023, and it happened on that bridge over there. This is the worst massacre since Port Arthur over 3 decades ago in Australia, and it targeted Jews. This is a wake-up call for our nation to stand side by side with its Jewish community and side by side with the State of Israel.
I'd just like to add, and it's very emotional for me to have Ambassador Maimon back here. He came to visit our synagogue in Newtown in January, where we were attacked, graffitied, it was attempted arson, and he came and showed his support. And he's been talking very loudly and very clearly this entire year, for anyone who could listen, that what started off with graffiti is going to end up with bodies, and it's exactly what's happened. And no one can say they weren't warned. I also want to say, because my ambassador said it, the Jewish community said it, our leadership was saying it, Rabbi Wolf was saying it, everyone was saying it, and no one was listening. I'd also like to say, my name is Rabbi Eli. There's another Rabbi Eli who's dead today, who was here on Sunday, gunned down, who for the past 20 years put up a big menorah in this very place to spread light. Hanukkah, we're celebrating Hanukkah now. Hanukkah is the holiday of light. We light a candle, and then we light another candle. And there's only one way, as Rabbi Wolf said, there's only one way to stamp out darkness, and that's with light. Hatred, bigotry, evil, that's darkness. And the Australian people need to combat that with light to each other, with light to someone else, no matter the color of their skin or what they believe. We're all, as the Bible tells us, we're all created in the image of God. Every single human being is created in the image of God. Let's love each other. Let's care about each other. And as Rabbi Wolf said, if someone says on social media, oh, the Jews, it's all their fault, you know what's been on Reddit yesterday? How could any Australian, I mean, I'm a fourth generation Australian. I'm proud of this country. But I said on ABC TV before, they said, some of you are criticizing the media. And I said, you know what? The answer is found right there. We've got an Australian flag and we've got an Israeli flag, because our connection to our ancestral homeland is part of who we are as Jews. And let's not separate the two. And finally, I'd like to say as follows. Rabbi Eli was like a brother to me. He's got the same name. He was like a brother to me. I knew him for 25 years. I studied together with him when we were teenagers. What he would say right now is add in light. Do another mitzvah. If you're a Jew, be more Jewish, as Rabbi Wolf said. Wear your kippah, wear your Star of David. Be proud. Don't let the buggers win. We're going to be proud of who we are, and that's what good Aussies would say. Be proud of who you are. Don't water down your identity for the sake of being scared of what other people are going to say or do. But in addition, what Rabbi Eli would say is that not just for Jews, but for every single Australian, be more godly. We're created in the image of God. Let's all act in the image of God. Let's love each other. Let's care for each other. And finally, I'd like to say something, and that is that he's got a widow. He's got children who don't have a father today. I sat with his father-in-law, Rabbi Ullman, who you know very well, yesterday. You're going to see Rabbi Ullman now. Rabbi Ullman is one of the most beloved rabbis, not just in Australia, but throughout the world. He was crying yesterday, and he said, I've got the worst possible thing that I need to do that any father would have to do. I've got to sit with my grandchildren and tell them that their father has been taken from us. There are widows, there are orphans. I'm heading from here straight to the ICU at St. Vincent's for a mate of mine who I've known for decades, who was gunned down here on Sunday, and his father was killed. And he's got his mother sitting there with a husband who's dead and his son in the ICU. And that, as a rabbi, I've got to go, who my mate's been killed, he's my mate, and I've got to go and be there for support for him. We all need to be support for each other. The Australian people need to step up. I've spoken to government, state government, federal government to support the victims, but I'm speaking now to the Australian people. There's a website that's been set up, okay? www.charidy.com/support Sydney. I'll say it again. www.charidy.com/support Sydney. For those widows, for those orphans, let's step up and let's make sure that my friend who I'm going to see now is not going to have to worry about how she's going to pay her rent. Thank you.
Thank you. הייתי אמור לחזור אח שלו, זה היום...
really? זה היה בתוכנית?
נסעתי לכנס שגרירים.
איפה?
היום הייתי אמור לחזור.
וואו, יש לך פתח.
כן, בארץ,
A couple of years ago, remember when you came back from Israel, flew back, and we were accompanying you out to October 7th. Now you've flown back, and you're accompanying us out to this.
October 7th flipped over. Now Israel's supporting us.
Lady, thank you for being here. Thanks so much. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Let's walk out the ambassador and we'll walk in back.
I was here with my mom and dad.
But I've just got to do what time, because I've got to do where do you want us to set up? So let's
Why am I here?
Yes, we're going to do one at a time. Where is mine?
You know, we're 5 minutes late, and
yes, we're going to do it. We're going to do it one-on-one with
said,
Amir.
to Hashem, I said, thank you for saving my mom and my dad. All right, I'll
Yes.
See the crew up there?
Yes.
If we just
I'll
go
set
right
up next to them.
So then that way.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, Caroline.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Yeah, good. Listen,
Fine. No, that's okay. Just feel it. So you, every morning, every morning.
one who's also coordinating because we're about to get the ambassador. So, yeah. Oh, okay. What's the oh, he didn't go far.
You're already walking, so you haven't got a car.
No, I've got to set up. But if you're still around, I'll chat to you later.
She's actually not great.
Yeah.
I'm just setting up there.
I'm sorry, that's my other family.
Oh.
I'm just setting up there.
Okay, you come and set up. I'm going to come and grab the ambassador quickly. If you're still around, I'll chat to you later.
No, we're done. Yeah, they're close to the but it was a family.
University of Melbourne. Too many cameramen for 50 years.
A second Category AB licence was applied for Mr Akram in 2020. That licence was recommended for issue and issued in 2023. I think it's important that the transparent nature of the investigation provides that change. The initial information had been that it had been issued in 2015, and I think it's important to give that detail. He was licensed to hold a Category AB licence, and the firearms that we have seized were attached to that licence appropriately. I'll hand over now to Commissioner Barrett, but happy to take some questions later.
Good afternoon. Last night with Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke, I had the chance to lay a wreath at Bondi Beach after immediately returning from an overseas work matter. Between the time of this attack and until I landed back in Australia, I have had regular contact with the Prime Minister, with Minister Burke, with New South Wales Police Commissioner Lanyon, and with the AFP's Counter-Terrorism and Special Investigations Command, as well as senior Jewish leaders. These are my first public comments on the terrorist attack since I have returned to Australia. And I want to describe this attack in my own words so there is no confusion and no ambiguity about the AFP's position. This was a barbaric attack against Jewish Australians. On Sunday, Jewish Australians were hunted down in broad daylight at an iconic Australian beach. The suspected murderers, callous in how they allegedly coordinated their attack, appear to have had no regard for the age or ableness of their victims. It appears the alleged killers were interested only in a quest for a death tally. Like October 7, 2023, we will not forget how that shocking attack forced Jews around the world to relive modern-day terror that should have been consigned to the history books decades ago. In Australia, the AFP will never forget the date of December 14 and what it means for a community that deserves to live in peace and harmony. It is understandable and right that the community wants answers, and it is appropriate that the AFP and New South Wales Police provide this information, not only to provide answers to a community that is in shock and grieving, but also to protect how we live together safely in multicultural Australia, including calling out misinformation that could fuel retribution-type incidents. Because of these factors, we will provide information that does not impact on our investigation, noting that one alleged offender remains in hospital and is facing significant charges. Early indications point to a terrorist attack inspired by Islamic State, allegedly committed by a father and son. There is no evidence to suggest other individuals were involved in this attack. However, we caution that this could change given it is early in our investigation. Alleged evidence has provided investigators with a swathe of information that has enabled them to make this initial assessment about the alleged individuals involved and their motivations. These are the alleged actions of those who have aligned themselves with a terrorist organisation, not a religion. The New South Wales Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, which includes the AFP, New South Wales Police, ASIO and the New South Wales Crime Commission, is continuing to review the significant material seized during search warrants, and we will not provide further details of that material today for obvious reasons. The AFP and New South Wales Police have a responsibility to keep the community safe. And I want to thank Commissioner Lanyon for his steel-like leadership during this time, and also acknowledge the brave men and women of New South Wales Police who have showed courage, amazing courage, in the face of cowards. Now, we understand words and information are important for context and for comfort. However, we are very much focused on action, including conducting a thorough investigation. This investigation will be highly visible, precise, and it will operate around the clock. The New South Wales Joint Counter-Terrorism Team investigation will leverage all unique powers, capabilities and international networks. Thank you.
Commissioners, where and with whom did the Akrams carry out their militant training in the Philippines, and when did Australian authorities first have intelligence about that training?
I think we've been fairly clear that the reason that the Akrams travelled to the Philippines, where they went, is unknown at this stage and subject to the investigation.
Do you believe that any of their associates had prior knowledge of the attack?
Sorry, can you just repeat?
Do you believe that any of their associates had prior knowledge of the attack?
That's obviously part of the investigation. We've been fairly clear that we believe that there were 2 people involved in this cowardly attack. We continue to investigate the matter thoroughly to determine if there's anyone else involved.
Did the trip to the Philippines trigger any security alert in Australia? And if not, was that an intelligence failure?
Not that I'm aware of, and I don't believe it was an intelligence failure at all. We're talking about something that's retrospective, post what is an horrific crime. We've indicated this will be a thorough investigation. Both New South Wales Police and the AFP are committed to that. We are finding information post the event.
But given Naveed Akram's long-standing ties to extremists in Australia, why did his father receive the firearms licence, and why were they allowed to travel overseas in this way?
The issue of the firearms licence is something that I've addressed previously and something that is subject of investigation. The Firearms Act has certain requirements. Mr Akram was entitled to make an application. The information that was available at the time was used to assess that information, and a licence was issued.
Commissioner, Bondi survivor Shmulik Scoury told the 7 Network this morning he saw 4 police officers at the scene in Bondi, none of them fired a weapon, and he was saying he didn't understand why he's an Israeli national. To Mr Scoury, what do you say to him that the police didn't do their job and fire back at that gunman?
I can't comment in relation to that actual report. What I'll say is that I'm incredibly proud of our police officers. They were confronted by 2 men armed with long arms. Our police at the scene were armed with pistols.
Regarding the timeline of that, can you just outline when did the first police officer arrive at the scene?
I don't have that timeline in front of me. That's obviously part of the investigation. I've been really clear. Both the critical incident investigation and the JCTT investigation will be thorough.
We haven't heard from Commissioner Barrett before about how would you describe the adequacy of police presence at Bondi, and can you and Commissioner Lanyon explain why local area command was considered sufficient security for that event? Commissioner Lanyon, you just observed that they only had pistols. Is that all that they had, and why were there not more police resources there? This is a police force that has access to Bearcat armoured vehicles, for instance. Why were there not more resources there?
I'll let Commissioner Lanyon answer that question, given it relates to New South Wales Police.
I'll reiterate, that is subject to the investigation at the moment. We base our policing response on the threat that exists at the time. A lot of work is done between ourselves and the Jewish community. Obviously, Bondi Beach is a large and public area. We regularly patrol that area, as we did on that day.
Commissioner, how many police were at the festival?
I've said previously that they received taskings to go to the Bondi Beach, so there were police moving through there at all times.
How many were at the scene?
I can't tell you at any particular time. As I said, they received taskings. So we had police moving through the area regularly.
Commissioner, were there 2 officers posted there for the festival? And were those 2 officers the ones that were leading?
I don't have that information for you at the moment, Damien. What I'll say is we had an appropriate policing response to ensure that police were moving through there, working closely with the community. We take safety very seriously, and I think you've seen that from the New South Wales Police. We are here to support the community. We're here to keep the community safe. Had there been intelligence that there was a particular threat at that location or to that event, we may have had a different policing response.
Well, were they the ones patrolling? Were they the ones that were in the vicinity?
Oh, there was a large number of police responding there at the moment. I don't want to give information about that whilst the critical incident investigation is going.
Can I say something about that? Yeah. Sorry, I feel it's incredibly important of me as the Premier of New South Wales to respond to some of these questions. The New South Wales Police acted with bravery and integrity. They didn't take a backward step. They engaged the gunman on the footbridge with handguns. The offenders had long-range rifles, and New South Wales police officers were responsible for killing one of them and shooting the other one, and as a result, saving many, many people's lives. Now, there are 2 officers in critical care in New South Wales hospitals at the moment. They weren't shot in the back as they were running away, they were shot in the front. I'm sorry to be graphic about it, but if there's any suggestion that New South Wales Police didn't live up to their responsibilities to the people of this state, it should be rejected because it's not consistent with the facts. New South Wales police officers, some of whom had been in the job for a number of months, put their lives on the line to save people in this state. And I think this rush to conclusions before all the facts are known, in my view, is disrespectful to their actions on Sunday. Yes, yes. No, I'm sorry, but I do have a responsibility. I don't think there's any doubt that if we had our time again, of course we would do things differently. And part of our response with the Jewish community and the people of New South Wales through Operation Shelter, working closely with the CSG, who are responsible for security in the Jewish community, is to ensure that we can work with them in the future. I can't take back Sunday, nobody can. But what we can do is ensure that in the future we are putting security in place so that we rebuild trust with the Jewish community. I know that this is an existential threat for some members of the Jewish community because this was a targeted attack on members of the Jewish community. I know in many cases, I saw Rabbi Wolf speak passionately about being more Jewish, refusing to hide. I thought that was such a brave and important message to send to the people of Australia and New South Wales. But we have to work with them and walk with them on that journey. And it is, hang on a second, and it's an urgent priority to rebuild Jewish social life in this state. Yes, James.
We've just learned that a gun licence that Naveed Akram was granted in 2023 after his son became
yes.
authority became aware of his son. Was it then a failure of intelligence that the New South Wales Police Firearms Registry that grant those licences did not know that his son, with whom he lived, was at one stage under the investigation?
Look, it's too early to say or make a pronouncement in relation to that. But one aspect of gun law reform that is absolutely essential in New South Wales, and it will be controversial, is for police to use criminal intelligence, not just a criminal record, in determining whether someone should keep a gun licence or even be granted a gun licence in this state. And what I'm trying to say is, if we can craft a law that the police commissioner can say, I've got concerns about this person, I don't want them having access to a gun, notwithstanding the fact that they don't have a criminal record, that's the kind of legislation that we want to see in New South Wales.
Prime Minister Naveed Akram reportedly links to Islamic State through connections he made as a follower of jihadist preacher Wisdom Hada. Is radical Islam a problem, and how can hate preaching still be allowed?
Well, what we know already is, as part of the investigation, is it goes to motive, and what is being investigated, as the Commissioner has said, is that it would appear that there is evidence that this was inspired by a terrorist organisation, by ISIS. Now, some of the evidence which is being procured, including the presence of Islamic State flags in the vehicle that has been seized, are a part of that. Radical perversion of Islam is absolutely a problem. It is something that has been identified globally as a problem as well. ISIS is created by an evil ideology that has been called out, not just by the Australian government, but globally as well.
Prime Minister Wisdom
Hang on. Yeah, we have passed legislation to outlaw hate speech. The first government to do so, to put in place those laws as part of our response to anti-Semitism.
Prime Minister, can you just confirm there's been a lot of misinformation flying around about the student visa that Tony Burke mentioned yesterday? Can you confirm the country of origin, whether it's India or Pakistan, and also how long were they in the Philippines, and was that monitored by Filipino intelligence agents?
They are all part of the investigation. So I can't go into that detail, and it wouldn't be appropriate to undermine the investigation by going into it.
Just a question on National Cabinet yesterday. We've just spoken to a story in the Australian newspaper in relation to that meeting. It says state leaders were forced to push you on solutions to anti-Semitism, that you didn't offer any yourself, but a draft document that was presented to state premiers contained one paragraph about the issue of anti-Semitism, and this was later changed to add a second paragraph that included existing policies that you're already working on. Why are you not announcing a suite of anti-Semitism measures right now instead of talking about gun control?
That's not true. The report is not accurate. The meeting yesterday had front and centre a commitment. Prime Minister today convened a meeting in National Cabinet following the evil anti-Semitic terrorist attack directed at members of the Jewish community celebrating Hanukkah at Sydney's Bondi Beach. No. Well, that is not accurate. It's just not right.
In that meeting, did you specifically raise Julian Stephen's plan to combat anti-Semitism? Was that referenced?
What we did was we referenced the ongoing work, including the National Hate Crimes and Incident Database, the enhancing. That is what it is. We have taken the report from the anti-Semitism envoy, and what we are doing is busy implementing it. And we talked about that yesterday. We went through the full range of measures which we are doing. I talked about it, including the hate speech, Nazi symbols, what we're doing on doxing, what we've done with the creation of the National Student Ombudsman, what we're doing with the education program on Together for Humanity in schools, as well as security, migration issues and cultural issues as well.
What would an appropriate limit on gun numbers for ownership be, and when can we expect to see a national register?
Look, what we have done is to task, through National Cabinet, Premier Minns and Premier Cook, who's the incoming chair of the Council of Australian Federation, to work on that and come back to National Cabinet.
The Premier, how soon could New South Wales Parliament be recalled to legislate that? Have the Coalition offered you bipartisan support for that? And also for Mr Albanese, are you disappointed?
Sorry, Paul. There's a lot of questions. So, look, I would say pre-Christmas. Logistically, we're working with our MPs to get back into Parliament as soon as possible. I haven't had a detailed discussion with the Leader of the Opposition, but in fairness to her, we don't have a draft bill. What I have been able to say is that she's been incredible working with us over the last 24, 48 hours. She's the member for that community, and I can't speak highly enough of the bipartisan way she's approached this incredible tragedy. So I don't want to speak for the Coalition, but sorry, I don't want to speak for the Coalition, but I think we'll be in a position to do this together. Yes.
Are you considering any kind of crackdown on the Albert Dalla Centre, and do you believe that any sort of action on extremism and curbing anti-Semitism should take precedence over gun reform?
Well, we have to do all these things together. I mean, that's the truth. This is just a horrible, horrible crime. And I think taking one action would be nowhere near enough to combat the scale of the challenges that are in front of us. So yes, we do have to do gun reform. Sorry, folks. I know you want to get your questions out, but I think it's reasonable we get an answer out. Yes, we have to do gun control. It's incredibly important that we fight anti-Semitism. And one of the things about anti-Semitism is that it begins with hate speech, then it might be a chant at a rally, then it moves online, then it becomes graffiti on a Jewish building, then it's malicious damage, then arson, and then it escalates to the kind of horrific violence that we saw yesterday. We have to combat it across the board. Damien, maybe for the last one. Damien?
The Royal Commission, is there any suggestion you might call a Royal Commission on this, or invite the President or the Prime Minister of Israel to Australia?
Look, we're working through all of these issues. Our focus has been on the immediate response, the investigation, our National Cabinet meeting yesterday, our National Security Committee We'll meet again this afternoon. We'll continue to monitor all of these issues. And to Paul's question that was, I didn't get to.
I was going to ask if you were disappointed about a lack of bipartisanship on the federal level.
Look, this is not a time for politics. This is a time for national unity. And I think that, we have organised for the Leader of the Opposition to receive a briefing from the security agencies yesterday. I think that her statement on Sunday night was entirely appropriate, and we stand ready to work across the Parliament. I've had a number of discussions with the Leader of the Opposition on Sunday night. On Monday, I discussed with Allegra Spender as the local member for Wentworth as well. We particularly have had a range of discussions. But I think what Australians want is to come together. What terrorists seek to do is to create division, is to create conflict, is to undermine social cohesion. At that time, we're a better country than that, and we can't allow their objective to be successful. And that is why we must come together as a nation. I think overwhelmingly that is the feedback that I get across the board of what people want to see.
The experience videos were discovered.